So, welcome to the Healthy Holidays talk. We want to, try to go about the holiday season being a little bit healthier than we have in the past. So, most everybody knows me. I don't know that we've met before, but well, I'm Sherie Holland. Nice to meet you, and welcome to Recurve Health Center. Oh, nice. So I got a lot of friends that come there, which, I probably need to come there too. I got to ease into it. I had to go to a small class. So. But the goal of today's talk, and we're doing this live for the Facebook group too, is really just to kind of change our perspective for the holidays, not think about it as rush, 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 go, go, go. So this talk's not about things to eat. We will talk about that. And in the Facebook group, I think most everybody in this group, maybe not you yet, is in the Recontrol Lifestyle Health group. And I did download a couple weeks ago a holiday eating recipe guide. It's Bally. It's from Dr. Fit. That they've made some traditional type Thanksgiving, Christmas meals that are what we call Ballyfied. Bally is very, very similar to paleo, maybe not as restrictive because they do allow a few other things. So it's the plan that I typically follow, the plan that I recommend for many, many people. It just makes sense. It was created by Dr. Roby Mitchell. He's out in Texas, and his principle of the diet is keep the food low glycemic. Eat lots of plants that have high nutrient value. And he went into the lab and discovered by testing, he had literally Petri dishes with Candida yeast in it, and he took these foods and other supplements, he did it with supplements too, and saw which foods allowed more of that Candida yeast to be killed off. So that's what he promotes, is the foods that help us when we eat those foods, so we get those properties. So we want to start out, and I want to thank you all for being here again today, because I know it's not always easy on a fun Thursday morning when it's raining especially, but I want to give you strategies that'll help you eat well, move well, and think well during the holidays. So we do have CJ here who has, is it Oxford Fitness?
ID Fitness.
Okay. So we've got Baptiste Yoga here, so we got lots of options. We got massage therapy here. I mean, we've got amazing chiropractic. We're just covered. We're covered. Smoothies, everything you need is right here in this room. So make sure everybody introduces themselves and knows how to refer to people and stuff. But and for those people that are watching live, getting to know what's available in your community is very, very important too. So. I had made a note over here. Yeah. So we want to start thinking about the current state of affairs because we're all in the same boat right now. The holidays are coming. They're just right around the corner. And so we want to, stop this, what we've done in the past, the stressful state, the rush, the got to go, got to do, got to buy crap just because we got to buy crap, Let's not go into that this way this year. But think about when you were in your childhood. The holidays were filled with joy, excitement, so many amazing things are about to happen you don't know. You're not thinking about the to-do list. So let's get back. But they did a survey by the Consumer Reports. It was Consumer Reports National Research Center where they asked people what they dread most about the holiday season. Anybody want to take a guess? What do you dread about the holiday season? Anything? Cooking? Yeah. Yeah. Well, 68% said crowds and long lines. Yeah. 37% said gaining weight. Then there was getting into debt. Gift shopping. Just that you don't know what to buy, and you end up just buying something. Then traveling, seeing certain relatives, having to attend holiday parties or events, and having to be nice. Now, we're assuming that's nice to people that they, don't like. But and then holiday tipping, which is really sad to me that 12% said holiday tipping. I think that's awful. But but whatever. We each have our problems. But what about the joy associated, with all the negativity? Those are all things that we have to deal with during the holidays. But think about all the pleasures, the amazing things that are coming with those things that we think is nuisances. So it's like putting the perspective back on the gift, the amazing opportunity that you have to be around other people and talk to other people instead of and for all of y'all that know me, know that I avoid crowds like the plague. So, I'm talking to myself here, but we just have to kind of have a different outlook of what we want for the upcoming holiday season. So let me borrow your sheet real quick. The questions that I wanted to ask, and this is what I'd like for you to sit down and you can think about it now or you can do it later, is those first few questions on this sheet to create more clarity for your ideal holiday. It's sit and think for a little bit about what your ideal kind of holiday season would be. Who would you spend time with? Make notes of that. Write it down, because Nicole and I were talking about this just last night, actually. It's like if you're setting out to accomplish something, if you don't have a plan of action, you won't know when you get there. How will you ever know that you've actually made it? It's like a ship setting off at sea. If they don't know where they're going, they're going to be bounced around by the winds, and just, they won't know that they've actually arrived to where they were trying to get because they had no idea where they were going. But if you have a plan of action throughout the holidays, this applies for everything in life, your job, your career, your family. If you've got a roadmap and know that can be altered, you can change that as you go, but having a plan of what you would like to accomplish, one, if there's a big storm ahead, you can navigate your way around it, go through those obstacles. And then when you get there, this is the important thing. Be excited and celebrate that you actually got there instead of just jumping to the next task at hand. What's the next goal? What's the next goal? It's really, have an idea. So this is what we're trying to do right here with the clarity is who would you spend time with? What foods would you eat? What presents would you purchase? What gifts would you receive? And where would you be located for the holidays? If you can, this is where we dream. Dream big here. And how would you define your holiday season as successful? Because that can come in all different forms for people. So the first thing we want to do, as part of answering those questions is, we want to make sure that, let me get to my next page here, because every successful outcome begins with a clear plan of where you're going. So that's what I'm trying to say here. So the first step is always, everything that we do in life is awareness. We were talking about that too. It's got to be step one. You got to realize what you're doing in order to change what you're doing. Because if you're doing something that's not working towards you getting to that goal, if you're not aware that you're doing it, you're not going to change it. You're never going to have the opportunity to change it. So one, look at yourself and see what's going on, and then possibly have a good friend that can point it out to you too, with no judgments attached or anything, but really just kind of have the awareness of what you're doing. We want to be aware when we're going through this holiday season, if our goal is to not be sicker than we are now or maintain whatever your goal is, then we've got to be aware of what foods we're eating and drinking. We're choosing to put those into our body. How much time you're allocating to be with your family. Have some plans of action. So if we have people in our family that we really don't want to spend a lot of time with, or this is, friends too, don't plan your whole holiday season, around what they are telling you to do. But be there, be nice to them, and spend some time with them, but have your exit strategy too, because self-care is very, very important. Self-care, because if you're miserable, this is where we go through self-sabotage and we reach for things for, self-soothing, alcohol, whatever. It comes in many forms. We've got lots of available forms today. So, if your issue is with the finances, be aware of how much money you're spending. Keep a written record of it. Not to criticize yourself, but just for awareness. Because if you do it this year and you have a plan of action, you can go ahead and be ahead of the game for next year. So this is, thinking ahead. The attitude that shows up when we're traveling, that's important. So if we're getting our car, packing our car, and I've already used the word disgruntled once this morning, but, disgruntled about, packing all that stuff in the car and loading the kids up, or getting the kids to do what you tell them to do, or having the snack bag, or, then that's going to set the stage for the rest of the trip. So when you come across, sadly, an accident that may happen on the interstate, you're going to be mad. And instead of, oh my gosh, I hope those people are okay. And we've got to be very, very careful about that, because it's, it puts us in the wrong state of mind going into what we're trying to accomplish, which is supposed to be fun and healthy and, exciting. The amount of physical activity. Now, this is my weak point, is, I can eat everything perfectly fine and not drink things and do this, but, my downside is the physical activity. But we've got to have a plan of action, because we've got to make sure that we get ahead of the game and know what we're going to do day to day, and stick with it. Don't let yourself talk yourself out of it. It's another thing Nicole and I were talking about over the past couple of days is, we can literally tell ourselves, it's like you've got to start to parent yourself. That's the best word. You really have to parent yourself. So it's like that little 4-year-old child in you is always going to be screaming for what it wants now, throwing that temper tantrum. So we have to adult up, and become that parent of that 4-year-old child and say, no, you can't have that right now. I know it's only 11 a.m., but you cannot start drinking that eggnog right now. We're not going to do that. Let's not drink eggnog over the holidays anyway. But, and again, going back to the people we interact with, because that tends to be a big stress, big stressor for people, is just who we have to be around with. So have some good prior, strategies on how you're going to handle being with other people during these, holiday times. So change the perspective. Now, when it comes to this awareness, and nobody has to answer this out loud unless you feel comfortable, but what area of life do you need to be hyper aware of during the activities, during the holidays? Because for me, I know it's exercise, which is all year long, not just during the holidays. But anybody want to tell what they need to kind of pay close attention to? Yeah, I mean, that's a big one for most people. Again, I've had lots of experience with different diets, so I'm pretty good about that. But mine's the get up and go, because I want to sit and read all day and hang out by myself all day. Yeah. It only comes. It only comes once a year. We only get this food once a year. But this is the time of year where people tend to put on 3 to 4 to 5 pounds, and then they don't get it off, through the year. So then next year is that 3 to 4 to 5 pounds more of fat, and it's just a cycle. So if we've been getting those results over the last 10 years, what makes you think it's going to be different this time, unless you do choose to do something different? And something else that just and I may say this, it may be posted in my notes later, but something else that comes up is the people that do the cooking for other people, they're afraid if they make changes that other people will be mad at them, because they're so ready for Miss Betty's dressing, or something like that. Or like my husband makes this meal or this dish every year, and my daughter is so looking forward to that, and I'm like, but it's got dairy in it. She can't eat dairy this year. So we're like trying to figure out different ways to change the recipe that she'll still like it or whatever. But it's the attachment that people have to you for a certain particular food, especially during the holidays, or like an event like a birthday. Everybody's expecting so-and-so to make X, Y, Z. And it's like you don't want to let those people down by not cooking that food. But then it's like you have to stand around and watch people eat that food, and you can't eat it, or you're choosing not to eat it. You can eat anything you want, but You've made a decision. So, but we'll talk about, the food in a little bit. But we've just got to learn to calm down and just be aware. Be aware. That's the first step. Be aware of what is stressing you out, what your area that you need more self-care or the self-awareness about. And be proactive, be proactive with it. And that comes in all different forms. So if anybody needs any help with that, just let me know. But use the worksheet to answer those questions. So the second thing is diet, which I've already kind of touched on. But, people have strong emotional attachments to certain foods during the holidays. So we've really got to make sure, but food is fuel. And when we allow ourselves to indulge this time of year, it's one thing to indulge, but it's another thing to completely just destroy everything, your health, Like this holiday season technically starts about 2 weeks before Halloween and doesn't end till about 2 weeks after the 1st of July. So that's when the diet plans start and the new what's the saying, new year, new you type thing, And everybody's got a plan of action, and then they don't see their 20 pounds gone in 1 week, so they give it all up and it's done, And it's like, no, it's it's a vicious cycle every year that all of us are guilty of or have trouble with. I mean, I myself am preaching to the choir here, but we've got to be aware that what the food is supposed to do, and the food is supposed to get you through, give you energy to go. Now, here's the thing that I like to say is when we're eating certain foods, if you eat a food, or whatever that may be, a meal, and it makes you sleepy, that's a good way to gauge whether that was a good food for you or not. Because if it makes you sleepy, that means it was way too high carb, high blood sugar. So you had a large spike of insulin, which dropped your blood sugar, and then you got sleepy. So if that happens to you, it may not happen to your neighbor, it may not happen to your husband or your spouse or whatever, but if it happens to you, that's a good clue that I probably just went into storing fat mode. Okay? But food is supposed to give you energy to go. So if you eat something and it makes you want to fall out on the floor, don't, think about it before you eat it again. Maybe it's worth it to you, maybe it's not. But, ask that question, and this is the awareness again that comes in there. But food, just like if we, put gas in our car, if we stopped at a gas station and put gas in our car and it stalled 2 blocks down, we would not go back to that gas station again. So that's what we've got to think about food. But, we can control, when we eat and what we eat. And so avoid any foods. A good rule of thumb is don't eat, 3 hours before bed or something, 2 hours before bed. It really depends on what time you go to bed. Our digestion slows down a little bit at night. And so it's harder to actually digest that food and utilize it for energy. So pay attention to what times of the day that you're actually eating. We don't want to skip meals. Do not fall under that myth that I can just skip my breakfast and not eat lunch and then just hoard everything at dinner. That's a bad idea. We actually will produce more insulin in the evening time than we do in the morning. So, for example, if you ate the same thing at breakfast that you ate at dinner, you're more likely to store what you ate at dinner just because we produce more insulin at night. So just something to keep in mind there. So the old saying, eat a big breakfast, a little lunch, and an even lighter dinner, that holds true for a lot of people. But that, again, depends on what you're eating for dinner. So fill your plate or chew your food really, really well. This is, again, getting us in the mindset of being in the moment. So when you're eating, chew your food very well.
No, I can't wait to get finished. Oh. My mother used to say,
chew your food. Yeah.
And stop with all the salt.
Yeah. Chewing our food is, we just don't do it enough anymore. We're too much in a hurry. We got to get to the next thing. We're not even paying attention to the food we're eating now. We're just waiting to get to the next task at hand. So not being present with your meal is, I do a whole talk on that in and of itself, but when we are present with our meal, we're actually telling our body we're in safe mode. And the body is geared up to digest and assimilate your food. We'll break it down absorb it and assimilate it to the cells to give you energy. But when we're eating on the run, that's no different than it's the whole concept is your body is going to do what your mind is telling it to do, not what you're actually doing. Again, whole talk in and of itself. I won't go down that rabbit hole. But if you're not present with your food, you've already hindered your body's ability to utilize your food significantly. Significantly. So,
Chick-fil-A in the car.
Yes, you're not getting most of that. I mean, you're going to get some, and it's going to stop your hunger for sure. It's going to stop your hunger. But you're not able to literally break that food down into its absorbable form to be used cellularly for energy. So people feel bloated after that. You know, it just kind of sits in their belly because their stomach's not geared up. When you're on the go eating, your body thinks it's in fight or flight mode, and it's got to get away from danger. But if we're with our food and eating it, we can actually absorb and utilize our food properly. So the old saying, you are what you eat, we've upgraded that today. It's you are what you absorb from what you eat, because you can eat the best diet in the world, but if you can't break it down properly, it's, I'm not going to say it's a waste. It's not a waste, but it's, you're not getting the best out of it that you could. So chew your food, which chewing your food means you're present with your food. You're paying attention. You're not off in your head thinking about the to-do list or what thing you've got to order at such and such time on Amazon to get the best deal type stuff, Another tip as far as diet goes and going to holiday parties and events is just fill your plate one time. Just fill your plate. Make sure there's more colors than whites. That's a good rule of thumb. If you look at it, you've got your tan dressing, your white cream potatoes, and some other white thing on there. It's like some casserole or something. It's like that's imbalanced. That's going to be more on the carb side. So we got to make sure we got those leafy greens. So that helps us be able to have some little splurges and enjoy it, but not totally destroy our diet or lifestyle plan. So consume at least 5 to 6 servings of plants a day. This is not just for the holidays. This is forever. We really need 10 to 13 servings of vegetables a day or produce a day, just to be well in today's time. And most people aren't even getting one, not even one a day, unless they count French fries as a vegetable. And some people do. But, so it's tragic. And so this is where, products like Juice Plus can be very, very, very helpful, because it's a consistent dose of encapsulated produce powder that you're getting those nutrients in. So that can be incredibly helpful to add all year long. So you're at least getting the plant nutrients. But we want to see that on the plate. Say no to gravy. That's an easy one. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. And then meal prep. Make sure during the busyness of the season that you have something available at home to eat that's appropriate. Because when we get hungry, all bets are off. And it's not about willpower. It is about hunger hormones. Your body is begging you for food, and that 4-year-old is going to throw a temper tantrum, and you're going to reach for the bag of chips in your pantry and eat them all because you're hungry. And then you're going to beat yourself up because you just did that and you shouldn't have done it, because now you're not hungry and you can be rational. So it's like, just make sure you always have something available. And there are lots of options in Oxford. There's lots of things that we can do. You can, we have many people, I know Living Foods has like a grab-and-go case. They even do some chicken salads. Organic Chicory Market has available options where you've got healthy things available to reach for, because again, the brain doesn't work well when it gets hungry. It goes into freak out mode, and we got to stop the hunger. One thing is getting to the point where you don't freak out when you get hungry. That's a good goal right there to set for the next year, is go times that you don't eat until you actually get hungry, to allow your body to get used to being hungry. It's okay to be hungry. Yeah, we've got somebody here that doesn't like to be hungry, but but it is okay. We can we've gotten to where we live in in the United States, or particularly here, this region. I'll leave it like that. it's like we're so afraid of not getting to that next meal or missing that next meal, so we're concerned about breakfast and when we're going to eat lunch, and then we got to eat dinner, and we don't want to get hungry. So we're eating without even really knowing, what hunger is. I watched this show, Naked and Afraid. I don't know if anybody watches that, but I talk about this show all the time. I really do. But it's fascinating to see how the human body works in those extreme environments. So that's, of course, how I'm watching the show, is just to see the physiology of the human and the brain, how they think when they're under those extreme conditions. Because if you think about it, while they're physically in extreme conditions, most of us are in extreme conditions just in our head every day. So our body is going to react the same way that they're acting when they're in the woods naked with no refrigerator or no grocery store. But we're doing that same thing to ourselves just by our thoughts that are going through our head every day. Again, that's a topic in and of itself right there. Because it's critical what's going on in our head to make us fail or succeed in any area of life. But just don't starve yourself. So make sure you've always got options available. Again, don't skip meals to kind of overindulge at the next meal. That does not work very well. Another rule of thumb, avoid liquid calories. Now, we're not talking about smoothies here. Smoothies are considered a meal, but those, you can put lots of good things in a smoothie, but this is the eggnog, the alcohol. Remember, when we do drink and engage in alcohol lowers your inhibitions. So again, that 4-year-old likes to come out to play when you have alcohol. That's what gets us in trouble, is we lose the ability to parent ourselves very well when we indulge in alcohol. So think that. And often, the alcoholic beverages around the holidays are very high calorie. They tend to, after you drink them, drop your blood sugar significantly. Then you feel horrible. Then you reach for things to raise your blood sugar, and you get on this terrible roller coaster. All right, tip number 3 that we've got is, to have fun. That's the key word. That's the key thing, is remember what the season is about. Let's go back to the roots. Let's go back to what it's about and have fun. And fun comes in a lot of different forms for people. People don't probably like to have fun the way I have fun. But whatever your family is into or wants to do, whether it's hiking, pulling out board games, doing silly videos, watching funny movies, whatever that may be, just make sure that we're adding, fun into the holidays, because that's what this is about. Listen, all day long we can buy all year long we buy stuff for our kids. But what our kids really want is us. They want your attention. They want your time. Same thing for your parents. They want your attention. They want your time. They don't care about your gifts. Some may, but they really don't. It's all about, sharing the experience with each other. And, if you're married, it's spending time with your significant other or you're dating or something. That's what people are wanting, after today. It's time. We've lost the ability to interact with each other in this modern world of, internet access 24 hours a day, or, the TV's always running in the background, so people are half paying attention to each other. It's ridiculous. So the fun part comes with the time. It's about spending time with the people that you love and like, and occasionally some you don't care about, but don't like so much. But, bringing that all in, and that's the key thing, is just make sure, and even if you have to on your phone, have a reminder set, just say, Siri, remind me every day at such and such time. Have fun. And it puts your mindset back into, oh yeah, okay, stop whatever you're stressing about, and let's get back in here and find something fun. Now, there are times where that's, not possible, and that's okay, that's life. But that's the key thing, is we've got to implement fun. The thing about fun in the human body is, if you're not intentionally putting pleasure in your life, your body will make you seek it. It will make you bring it in. And that's often in the form of some sort of food that's pleasurable. So your pizza or your cheesecake, or whatever that what we're trying to eliminate from our diet food is. Your body is searching for pleasure. The body is set up to stay away from pain. It's basically the brain. The brain, your mind is wired to steer you away from pain or to draw you towards pleasure. That's your two options. So that's, again, that 4-year-old child within us that's trying to rule everything that you do. It's either going to get you to have fun somehow if you're not choosing your fun activity. So it really is being ahead of the game and seeking that pleasure. So it's like if you're not getting sweetness in your life and activities, you're going to get it in your food. So people that, are overindulging in food, there's nothing wrong with enjoying your food. There's absolutely nothing wrong with enjoying your food. The problem is when you only have enjoyment with your food. That's where we have the problem. That's where we have severe health consequences or, food addiction, stress eating, things like that, because people are using the food, as a form of medication, honestly. I mean, it's their antidepressant, it's their anti-anxiety, it's their, whatever they're trying to numb feelings, that's what they're using the food for. And of course, that's alcohol too. That can be in the form of, overindulging in exercise or shopping or, again, addiction comes in so many different forms today. We've got lots of options to choose from today. But it's getting back and realizing that if you're just work, do, complete task list, things like that, your body's going to make you, stop and let's get this. And it's going to be self-destructive. It's going to be self-destructive. So the movement. Now, I'm not the expert in the movement. Again, we've got a couple experts here with us today for that. But movement doesn't just have to be quote-unquote exercise, at a gym or something that you're not enjoying. It really is about finding something that you like to do, whether it's playing tennis, playing basketball, weightlifting, if you like to do that, the yoga, just going to the park for a walk. That's the thing that I like to do is, put on a podcast or something and just, go for a walk. I try to do heels when I do that because that, adds a little intensity to it. But it really comes in all different forms. So it's basically just making sure that you're putting that into your day, because if you don't, it's not just going to spontaneously occur that, oh, now I can do this. It's not going to happen, especially during the holidays. But there's lots of different forms. So make sure you find somebody that that's doing something that you like to do and finding pleasure and get involved with that. There's YouTube videos. I mean, Tai Chi, Qigong, anything that can be done. There's lots and lots and lots of different options. Another thing is, have an accountability partner. Somebody, if you have to pay them, do that. That's a great incentive to get up and go. Not $5 a month because you're going to skip over that, but have an investment because it is an investment. I use that word all the time. People are mixing up the words expense and investments. So when we're talking about health, it's not an expense because there's a huge return of investment when you spend any money on your health. So we've got to change that. And if you go buy a shirt, just a fluke, because you think it's cute this season, that's an expense because you're going to donate it to some place next year, or it's going to hang in your closet for 20 years. That's an expense. But investment in your health is never, ever, ever, never an expense. So make sure you're putting your money to fuel or to get yourself to this new goal that you want to be at. That's what's important. We got our body forever. We've got to do things today that our 90-year-old self is going to appreciate. So if you're doing something today that's not going to benefit you when you're 90 years old, you probably shouldn't do it. We got to think about that. So instead of living in the moment of, oh, this feels good now, this feels good now, this feels good now. Well, what's going to happen when we're 90? We got to really think about we're going to live to be 100 and 120. And so we have to have this body be supported to last 120 years instead of thinking, the average lifespan today is 70, 80, whatever years old, depending if you're male or female. No. You've got to assume you're going to live to 120. So you got to make sure you can do two things throughout your entire life if you want to live on your own. Two things. You got to be able to stand and walk, and you got to be able to get yourself to the bathroom by yourself. Because if you're not able to go to the bathroom by yourself, you're going to need somebody to help you live. And nobody looks forward. Nobody's goal is that. Nobody. So we've got to think about the future self and do things today that will benefit what we want our future to look like. I want to be able to be active with my grandchildren. I don't have grandchildren yet. I don't have them yet. I don't even have kids that are married yet. But that's the future. That's what I'm looking forward to, is I want to make sure I'm doing things right now that support me so that when that day does come, that I can be active in their life, So, because I have personal experience with grandparents not being able, to be active in their life. And it's sad for the grandparents, for the parents, and for the grandchildren. So think ahead. Think what your future self, what your ideal for yourself is in the future. Think what that future self would want you to do today. Because the day today is what makes the future self. All right, this is a very important for me. That's why I was a little bit late getting here this morning, is I have no problem with tip number 5. Schedule downtime and relaxation. Like, I'm a master of that. And it's like a little too much. But, it's very important to me just mentally to start my day out in the right frame of mind. If my day starts chaotic, that is the way the day will be. And it takes me a few days to get over it. So I've gotten really, really selfish about my routine in the morning. Typically Monday through Friday is a little bit different than Saturday and Sunday, just because life's a little bit different. But it really, really is important for me to have that scheduled downtime and relaxation. And that comes in different forms for people. So, during this time, I always have, I've got the Apple Watch and I've got my iPhone. My phone is set every day that it goes into standby mode, or whatever that quiet mode is, at 8:30 at night, and it does not come back on till 8:30 the next morning. So if a text comes through or somebody tries to call me, I will not hear it, because I don't want to be interrupted. If I do have the thing set on my phone that if it's a close family member, if they call, it will come through for that. But otherwise, no, because that's my private time. I can't give to others if I can't take care of myself first. It's not going to work. It's the same concept of when you get on an airplane and they're giving you the instructions, and most people don't listen to it, but if you do listen to it, they'll tell you if the oxygen mask drops, you take it first. Don't give it to your kids first. That's our instinct, to try to help them first. But if you pass out in the meantime, you're not going to be able to help your kids at all. This same concept's true through the holidays, through the Mondays, through Fridays, or the whole weekday, all year long, is you have to take care of yourself first. And we have this mentality, and I say especially women primarily because I'm a woman. That's all I've ever been my entire life, so I know that perspective. I'm sure. That I'm sure of. That I know. Women have been taught from a very, very early age of, you're supposed to please others, be nice to others. And we lose the self-identity of how to be nice to ourselves too. And this may be a regional thing, because again, I've only grew up in the South here, but I know for a fact that's the way we're raised here. So it's destructive. It's just destructive to go through life being nice to everybody at your own expense. So there's a difference between being nice and kind, and this is really what I try to teach my daughter is, being nice is, somebody wants to give you a hug and you give them a hug back just because you want to be nice. And that's not a good thing to teach our children. Don't let somebody come into your personal space if you don't want to do that. It's a very dangerous thing to teach people. But being nice, being kind is acknowledging that person wants to give you a hug, but don't do it just because they want you to do it. Now, that's a silly example, but there's so many things in life that we do, like over scheduling yourself because people have asked you, can you bring such and such to the church? Can you bring this dish to the church? Or can you watch the nursery? Or can you help keep so-and-so's kids? Or, this. Again, it comes in so many forms. You just say yes to be nice when you don't want to. You don't want to. And we have this mentality that we're being mean if we say no. And you are being mean. You're being mean to yourself. And this is where we turn around and we do self-soothing things that are also destructive to us because we're trying to seek pleasure. You're trying to live your life. So there's, again, compromise in there, of course. That's what life's about. But don't sell yourself short because you're just trying to help everybody else have a nice life. What about your life? You're just as important as anybody else. Nobody is more important than anybody else. It doesn't matter what rank, what sex, what religion, what anything. Nobody is. So start your day on the right foot, and whatever you need to do to have that right mentality, do that. Meditation, prayer, quiet time. What, again, comes in many different forms. So make sure that we're doing that. And then the last tip really is about generosity and volunteering. Nobody can be depressed when they're giving to others. It's absolutely impossible. I used to, a couple of years ago, go to the elementary school and read. And it was such an awkward thing for me because, one, I don't like being in large groups. But two, it was just the different personalities in the rooms of all the children. It ranges from like, wah, to, the little kid in the corner, which was always me, sitting there going like, what are all these people, doing? But it was the most incredible thing, because when I went into that school and those kids heard that somebody was coming to read to them, they didn't care who you were, what you looked like, where you were from. You were going to read to them, and they were absolutely so excited. And I don't know if it's because it was somebody different, it wasn't their teacher. I don't know what it is. But so every time I would come in and they would see me in the school, they would be like, oh, hey! I mean, just waving like you are the Queen of Sheba or something. How could you possibly be depressed? I mean, I just think about on it, and you can see how it just the memory of it is amazing. So it's like, if anybody's depressed, go read to some elementary school kids. They absolutely love that. But again, it comes in all different forms. Food banks we've got, around here, where the pantry where they, give donated food to underprivileged families. Lots of things. Leapfrog, again, it comes in many different forms. Churches have volunteer opportunities. So give your time. Give gifts. Give money. Write notes. I wrote a note to my daughter yesterday before I left. Oh, my gosh. She, and it was so simple, bless her heart. I just said, I'll see you tomorrow evening. I love you. Have a good day. And little heart and mom. I got back yesterday, y'all. She had framed it.
Oh.
I was like, oh my God. So tiny, because again, that's all your kids, that's all your family wants is you. That's all they want is you. So stop trying to buy things to love them. Give them your time. And I'm talking to myself here too. So today, I want us to, after this, take time, that's the key word. Take time to just kind of remind yourself of this. So some of this stuff seems so silly, but it's just stuff we don't think about. We forget it. We forget it in our busyness. But I want to finish just by reading this little bit to you, because this is the key takeaway is, yes, the holidays will be stressful. It's a given. Yes, you will be exposed to tons of food that you shouldn't eat. Yes, that's going to happen. Yes, you might need to spend time with people you don't really want to, but that's okay. That's what the season's going to bring. And yes, travel can be exhausting, but this year will be different because you have a plan. You're prepared and you're ready to put you and your health first. Now that's the thing, is it can be different, but it will be different if you're aware of what you're doing and you've done in the past, and you can make different plans now. It doesn't just happen spontaneously. You have to be proactive with it. So it's like don't anticipate a change to happen. You have to participate in the change actually happening. So anyway, well, that's it for today.
Awesome. How about this 31 days?
I know. I love that. I wanted to, share this with y'all. This is not mine. You can see it came from, phoenixhelix.com. Lots of great information. I do not know those people at all, but I ran across some of their stuff, and it has some, wonderful tips. So, paste that up on your refrigerator or in your bathroom or somewhere, and just kind of, glance at it every once in a while. Don't stick it somewhere so it becomes just part of the background. Really kind of move it around so that you can look at it and refresh yourself, and take some of that to heart. Pick out a few things that that really resonate with you, because that'll be different for everybody. But remember, the key is about, you can make this as stressful as you want. That's your choice. But you can also make it as enjoyable as you want to. And that's also your choice. We all have that ability to choose. That's the beauty of being a human being, is choice. But thank y'all for coming.
It was awesome. Thank you.